Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. In today's gaming news, multiplayer shooter One Life plans to live up to its name, Destiny was a bigger mess than you could imagine, and Hard West looks to be more than a Western XCOM. So I've admittedly covered some pretty strange games on the show. I think in recent memory, the title The Flock, which had a set number of player lives, and then when that number was reached, the game was getting shut down. That was pretty weird, but this upcoming title called One Life pretty much takes the cake. One Life is a multiplayer shooter set in a post-apocalyptic world. It features crafting, customizable vehicles, survival mechanics, and if you die once, you'll be locked out of the game forever. Yes, it sounds crazy, but wait, there's a reprieve. Basically, once you're defeated, the player who eliminated you in combat gets to decide to either take you captive, at which point they can humiliate you, doing things like taking a piss on you, or just to kill you outright, which will indeed lock you out of the game forever. Maybe not that bad if it's a free-to-play game and you can make new accounts, but it's not. It is going to be a $10 game, at least as of this moment. You can get locked out of the game forever if you die. Now, I know there are certainly that sect of players on the internet that loves the hardcore, the DayZ, the Rust, all that stuff, the H1Z1, where you control people, ruin their lives, and now you can literally take away their access to the game. I just don't see how this could be anything other than a complete and total failure. There are people who will absolutely buy and play this, 110%. Just out of curiosity, I'm interested enough to try it out, but at the same time, I was interested enough to try out The Flock, and that lasted all 15 minutes. This got me thinking, you know, as it stands right now, I think it's a horrible idea, and I think lots of people just aren't going to buy it, knowing that they're going to get locked out of the game forever if they die once, which they will die. I mean, everyone's going to die eventually, so basically the developer's plan is to have people keep shelling out $10 a pop. I thought that there could actually be an interesting mechanic here if you had a temporary lockout every time you died. How's about this for an idea? Once your character dies, you're locked out from the first-person shooter mechanic in this game, but what if there were some other things that you could be doing in the game? Take part in surveillance behind the scenes to help your friends who are still alive, watching corners and telling them where to go, where's safe, where isn't. There's lots of interesting things they could do. Right now, it just seems like nothing more than a cash grab. Now, luckily, the game's not even on Steam yet. It's currently going through Steam Greenlight, and obviously, as expected, there's tons of polar feedback here. The super hardcore people are saying, well, if you don't like it, just don't buy the game, which they're not wrong, but the thing that these people need to realize is if they want any people to shoot and take advantage of, a game has to be enticing enough to get them in the door in the first place. Next up, I wanted to talk with you guys about Destiny, but no, I'm not talking about the endgame raids or upcoming content. I'm talking about what the game could have been and ultimately ended up like being a Frankenstein monster of. There was recently a lengthy article posted up on Kotaku which dives deep into the development problems that plagued Destiny prior to launch. Evidently, the game's story, which began development around 2010, was completely scrapped and reworked 1 year prior to launch. Now, many people complained of Destiny's story feeling cobbled together and patchwork, and it's because it quite literally was. The story that they worked on for 3 years, once they got to the final take, the big bosses high up said, I don't like this, scratch it, start all over, and they basically just took bits and pieces of this lengthy planned campaign and put it together to try to make sure, I mean, they had 1 year to put the story together, to take missions they've already developed, try to fit them in and write a new story for the stuff that's happening and keep things out, like the Dreadnought was supposed to be in the launch, but now it's coming out with the Taken King. It's just a very interesting read, even if it turns out to not be true. Again, it does sort of play into what we perceive as having happened, given what came out as the final product. I think it actually makes a lot of sense. So if you're at all interested in the development of games and specifically Destiny, give this article a read. I really, really enjoyed it, even if it could be all bullcrap, but you have to imagine that Kotaku has higher standards than that, right? And lastly today, I wanted to tell you guys about an upcoming tactical game by the name of Hard West. Now, Hard West is a turn-based strategy game that at first glance seems quite similar to XCOM, and while it does share the turn-based gameplay, cover system, character abilities, that's basically where the similarities stop. A video that was just posted up on Eurogamer goes into some of the details which separate this and make it its own thing compared to XCOM. One of the big things is that the universe is much more bleak and gritty. The gameplay reflects that with characters many times going down in a single shot. To add to that stress, the party size seems to be quite limited, with at most you having between 2 to 3 people in your party. Now the video does go into further detail about the luck system, movement, the abilities, and I suggest giving it a watch if you like turn-based tactical games. Basically, if you like XCOM, but you like something that's a little bit different, a little grittier, and possibly a little more challenging, this seems like it might be a game to keep an eye on. And again, I just wanted to give you guys the heads up, let you know about it. All right, my friends, that is going to do it for today's episode of The Feed. As always, thank you so much for watching. Once again, this has been Force, and you have just been force-fed. I sort of feel as if One Life is a bit too obvious of a name for the game. They should go with something a bit more representative of the game's community, like No Life.